Just want to end with one thing that we left off in the Gemara. The Gemara had explained on Daf Nun Aleph, Machlokes, Reb Yochanan, and Chizkiah. Reb Shimon Levi said, everybody agrees. If a person says he brings his Todah and he has 80 loaves of bread, and he says, I want 40 of the 80 to be the Lachmi Todah, and the other 40 should be for Achrayus. That if something should happen to the first 40, the second should take the place of the first 40. Everybody agrees that that is what happens. The first 40 are the Lachmi Todah, and if anything should happen to the 40, the others replace that. Okay? They're not chulin. They're on hold. They're on hold. What happens if he says he wants all 80 to be Lachmi Todah? All 80? There's no such thing as all 80, because the Korban Todah only has 40. So the Gemara says, so what's the argument with Chizkiah and Rabbi Yochanan? He didn't say, he says, I want 80. So the question is, what is his mindset? Chizkiah says when he says 80, it's equivalent to saying 40 of 80. Rabbi Yochanan says no, when he says 80, he wants to bring a much larger type of Todah, which doesn't exist. Therefore, it means nothing. None of the Lachmi Todah are Lachmi Todah, because there's no such thing as a Todah with 80 loaves. Right? That's how Rabbi Shimon Levi. Now, this is the question. He says, when he said 40, Chizkiah says, I want 40 of the 80 to be Lachmi Todah. Now the question is, which ones? Right? Rabbi Yochanan now. There's an argument between Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish. Yesh breira, ein breira. Right? You have a case, you have a barrel of wine, which is tevel. It's right before Shabbos, and you say, Shnei lugin shani osed la'afrish. And he doesn't have enough time to physically tithe it, to remove the various percentages for Truma and for Meiser, and whatever has to be done. So he just designates it in the barrel. He says, the 2 pints that I will take out Motzoi Shabbos should be Truma. And this should be Meiser. Do we allow him to drink the wine? That's the question. So it's Machlokes. Rabbi Yochanan rules ein breira. That since at the moment you don't know which 2 pints are going to be removed from the barrel Motzoi Shabbos, so this question, what does that mean? Ein breira. Ein breira. Does it mean to say that you cannot affect something unless you know what you're affecting? Right? So therefore, there's no effect whatsoever. So if you drink that wine, you're drinking tevel. Or do we say no? You are affecting something, but would you take out Motzoi Shabbos? He said, the 2 pints that I will take out Motzoi Shabbos, that should be the Truma. But how do you know that those 2 that you can have Motzoi Shabbos are the Truma? You designate the Truma exists now. I'm saying now, which pints are the Truma? The 2 I will take on Motzoi Shabbos. And then you're drinking it on Shabbos. How do you know which are the 2? Right? Maybe you drank the 2. You said the 2, but how could you determine which are the 2? Because you said so. I understand that. That's the question. But again, how could you be the one to determine which are the ones that can be taken on Motzei Shabbos? You want to drink it now, that means the tithing already took place now. Which one? The 2 that I will take on Motzei Shabbos. So the question is, maybe initially there were another 2 that were meant to take out Motzei Shabbos, and for some reason maybe you drank the ones that were meant to be taken out. Things could change. No. So there's an argument. I don't want to get into Breira. So there's an argument whether it is effective, but it's unclear which is the Truma. So the barrel at the end of the day, after he makes such a pronouncement, is a mixture of Chulin and Truma mixed. So that means if a Kohen would want to drink the barrel of wine, even according to Rabbi Yochanan, he'd be permitted, even ein breira. Because the effect is effective, but it's unclear which is the Truma. So therefore, a Kohen could drink it. A Kohen's permitted to drink Truma, he's permitted to drink Chulin, but Isha is not permitted. But if we say that you cannot affect something which you know what you're affecting, so it's not effective whatsoever, so what is the barrel? Remains tevel. So it remains tevel, so even a Kohen's not permitted to drink it. It's based on two terutzim, 2 explanations of Tosas and Erevin. Okay? So now, a person has 80 loaves of bread. He says, 40 of these 80 should be the Lachmei Todah, should be associated with the Korban, and if anything should happen to those 40, the other 40 should be replacements. Now, which 40 are the ones who are identified with the korban, and which ones are the replacements? So according to Rabbi Yochanan, that he only holds ein breira, right? None of them should be. But yet Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi says that what is the argument? What is his mindset? Does he mean korban gadol? He wants a total of 80, or does he mean say 40 of the 80? But how could Rabbi Yochanan hold 40 of the 80? Rabbi Yochanan holds ein breira. Rabbi Yochanan says unless you identify which it is, it's not. That's Tosaf's question. Tosaf asked this question in 2 locations. Tosaf Eruvin, Tosaf Menachos asked the question. So Tosaf says an answer. You have to understand the answer. He says like this. If the person wants something specifically has to be affected. Specifically has to be affected. Otherwise, it's not effective. Then we say the effect is not an effect whatsoever. Correct? He says, I want to affect 2 pints that are going to be taken on Motzei Shabbos. Do you know which 2 are going to be taken on Motzei Shabbos? You don't know which 2. Therefore, the effect of your statement has no effect whatsoever. Over here, does it really make a difference to the person? Because over there, he's not able to drink the wine unless you know which 2 pints. Right? Let's say he says 2 pints in the barrel are truma. Then you're not able to drink the wine. He could say 2, but let's say he would say 2 pints in the barrel are truma. A Kohen could drink that wine. Because over there, it's irrelevant which 2 pints. You understand? Here he's saying specifically 2 pints that I've taken Motzei Shabbos. You cannot affect, you're being very specific what you're affecting. So unless you're aware of what you're affecting, at the time you affect it, it's not effective. You understand the difference? If I say 2 pints that I take on Motzei Shabbos should be truma, right now when you're affecting the 2 pints, could you identify which of those 2 pints? You're not able to. So if you want to affect something and you're being specific and you can't identify it, when you're affecting it, it's not effective. That is the meaning ein breira. There's no effect whatsoever. But let's say that he's a Kohen, the person says, 2 pints in the barrel are truma. 2 pints in the barrel are truma. Which 2 pints is irrelevant with 2 pints? 2 pints in the barrel. There you want to affect something which you're being very specific. You can't specify something in a specific way unless you know what you're affecting at the time that you're affecting it. No.
So then a farmer's got his wheat and he needs to do the trimming process. He says, in my mind, I'm taking parts, this part from
The northern part of the
northeastern part.
But it's all been harvested.
It's all been harvested. It's
No,
lying in a
it
farm.
is,
And
it
he
is.
doesn't do a physical act.
It's true. It's effective. It's effective.
But it's all mixed up.
No, it's not.
It's all mixed up. It's all there.
No, it's not mixed up. I mean,
It's a big pile.
and he says, let's say, 3 feet into the pile should be truma. Let's say he thinks it. 3 feet, the northern part of the silo.
Let's make it even more general. He says 5 pounds.
No.
5 pounds of this is truma.
No, so then it will be like, then only a Kohen would be able to eat it. That'll be like it's the wine. 2 pints in the barrel of truma. That will be like but only a Kohen that will be able, because you don't know which 5 pounds.
Once he does that, only
Because it's all still mixed up. It's all
No, it does make a difference, but he's affected it. 5 pounds is truma. But now, if Yisrael would want to eat that grain, he couldn't eat the grain, because you know which is the truma. He may be eating truma, but a Kohen would be able to eat that truma. Only a Kohen, if a man, even the one who makes the pronouncement is not a Kohen, but if he makes such a pronouncement, only a Kohen would be able to eat that mixture. Because anybody else would maybe eating truma. No, you can't fix it. You can't fix it. So what I'm saying here, he says 40 of the 80 loaves should be chalos toda. It's not a problem. He's not specific which. To him, it's irrelevant which 40 are toda. So 40 are identified with the carbon. The others are in case the first 40, something happens to them. So what do? Okay, so now it's a suffix. So now you have to eat all 80 as if they're all chalos toda. That means you can't take them out of Yerushalayim, because you're not sure which is the chalos toda or which is not the chalos toda. What?
It's not like 40 and 40. It's like 10, 10, 10, 10, and another 10, 10, 10, 10.
Right. Okay, let's start the next Gemara. Doesn't work. I told you it depends on both interpretations. Either it works, but what you said may not be, or no, it does not work. It's not effective whatsoever. It works. Works. It's interesting. There's a famous Ran in the Dorim. The Gemara speaks about you have a courtyard, which is large, which is divisible, and you have a courtyard which is not divisible. Two partners purchase a courtyard. So let's say it's less than 8 amos. Less than 8 amos is not divisible, because you need minimally 4 amos per person in terms of usage. Anything less than 4 amos has no value. So let's say two partners, they purchase a courtyard, 8 amos. So that's chotzi sheish bo din chaluka. Even though we bought it jointly, right? But if we ever decide to divide, we can divide it, right? We don't have to. It's not you buy it or I buy it. We can divide it. You take half and I take half. Of course, it's 8. It's 8 amos. But what happens if it's, let's say, 6? Right? So then the Gemara discusses about this. It's good or we good. One says to the other partner, either you buy it or I'll buy it, right? Because it's not divisible. So the Mishnah in Durham speaks about a case like this. You have two partners, and they purchase the courtyard, 6 amos. And initially they make up between the two of them that I will use it on Sunday, you use it on Monday. And they divide up the week. Or I use it a half a day, you use it the other half a day. And now one of the partners makes a netter that the other partner cannot benefit from him. And the other makes a netter that the other partner cannot benefit from him. So we're speaking about a courtyard which is not divisible. What's the halacha? So the Gemara says that even if the Ran says that we rule that each one is able to use it, we say yesh breira. We say yesh breira. Okay? There, although we normally rule ein breira, there we rule yesh breira. So the Ran goes to differentiate between that case and the case of 2 pints in the barrel. Over there, if you have a courtyard which is not divisible, so each of us own definitely the whole courtyard, because it's not divided. So if you have 8 amos, the question is, which is mine, which is yours? Partners only 50-50, except we agree, use mine. Which is mine, which is yours? So if you hold ein breira, even though we say in advance, when we should choose to divide it, mine is mine and yours is yours, but factually it's unclear. So if that is the case, either it means nothing, or it's unclear. So neither could use the courtyard, even if they should say, we'll divide now, because they made a netter. But if you say it's not divisible, so factually the courtyard belongs to both of them, totally. Belongs totally, because now we're dividing, it's only time sharing. So what are we affecting? When we purchased it, I said, the morning hours are mine, the afternoon hours are yours. In what object? In what location? This location. It's not a question of which location, it is the location. As a result of that, even if you normally would hold ein breira, here you would hold yesh breira. No, again. Because it said, when we buy, no. We buy it, we didn't agree how we're buying it, how we're dividing. We buy it together. And we say, whatever we decide how we'll divide, that's the way it'll be divided. And it's agreed it's going to be a time-sharing divide. But we haven't decided, when we bought it, we didn't say, the morning hours are yours and the afternoon hours are mine. They didn't say it originally when they bought it. They bought now, so it was understood, subject to be determined.
So now one of the men says, takes a vow, never, that the other one cannot benefit from it.
Correct.
And we still haven't decided how the split.
Even if you decided now.
Now you decide.
Let's say you decided pre-vow. You decided. Seemingly, even if you hold ein breira, maybe the time period you have may have been meant to be the others, and the others may have been the others. Right? Ein Brera means that even though initially you said something, but since when you said it, it's unclear how it's going to work out, right? So later you determine, but maybe originally the morning was supposed to be Ruvain's, and now the morning, Shimon took the morning.
You're saying Ein Brera means you can't do that.
Well, if you say it's not effective, so it's meaningless.
Right.
And if you say the other way, that it is effective, but it's unclear whose portion you have, whose timeshare you're using, why is it clear?
But you made that decision already.
No, it doesn't make the decision you make later. It's a later decision. It wasn't made. If the body says, we're buying it, my half is the morning, your half is the afternoon, it's not a problem, because they bought it that way.
And if they bought it the other
But
way,
they bought it the other way, that means that was later.
right.
They made the decision
As long
to
as
be
they made the
determined.
decision before the neder, it's fine.
No, it's also not fine. Because you may be in mine and I be in mine. There wasn't a redividing. We didn't transfer title again. You may be using mine, I may be using yours, but it's okay. We're partners. So now when he makes a netter, it becomes complicated now. Because what you believe to be yours may be his, and what's his may be yours. Okay. Itmar. Kiddushin Shem Mesurin Labio. The Muslim discuss a case like this. A person goes, let's say you have two sisters, and he's Makadish one of the sisters, and at the time of the Kiddushin, it's unclear which one he was Makadish, which one he married. Is the marriage a valid marriage? Because initially the Kiddushin is a Mesur Labiyah. The Kiddushin, he will not be able to ultimately to cohabit with the woman. So Rashi says, what does cohabitation have to be? Have any relevance to marriage? So Rashi says, it says in Torah, Kikach ish isha uvoalo. Right? When you take a woman, you have to be able to cohabit with her. That's the Gemara is going to cite a pasuk in a moment. So if you're not able to cohabit with her, because if you marry one of two sisters, you're not sure initially which sister you married. So that means you can't live with the woman. And the Torah says, based on the pasuk, it has to be ubolo, that he's able to live with her. As a result of that, the marriage is not a marriage. It's not you have to give a get to each sister misofi, because each sister is question may be married to you, correct? No, neither sister need a get. He only married one of the two sisters.
And that's a technicality, like you can be with her.
Doesn't make a difference.
You can be with his wife if he's married, but...
No,
he
see,
doesn't know.
if he marries one woman, then he doesn't remember which sister he married. So at the time of the marriage, it was clear he was permitted to that woman. Right? The case is speaking like this. A person has two daughters, and he says, I'm marrying you to one of my daughters. Right? And he didn't specify which daughter. So he's married to one of the daughters. According to Rava, the marriage is not a marriage. Because over there, since the time of the marriage, that woman, whoever he married, was never available to him, so the marriage is not a marriage. I mean, Tosas has a question on this. So this is Rava's position. We'll see in a moment. A person wants to marry a mamzeres, correct? He's not permitted to her, right? It's not a permitted relationship. But everybody agrees, except for Rabbi Akiva, that if you mekadosh chayvi labim, she's a married woman. But it's a kiddushin shem resur labio, right? It's a marriage where you're not permitted to cohabit with her. Why is it different? It's a kolshkein. No, but if we're saying the way Rashi learns, it says when you marry a woman, marriage is only marriage if you're able to cohabit with her. When you marry a mamzeres, could you cohabit with her? Torah says you're not permitted to cohabit with her. So if that's the case, according to Rava, why, if a person marries a mamzeres, a kohen marries a grusha, the marriage should not be a marriage. But yet if a kohen marries a grusha, she's married to him. That's Tosas' question on Rashi. So Tosas explains what it means to say is that the basis for the prohibition is the marriage. If the marriage creates the prohibition, then the marriage is not a marriage. For instance, a mamzeres is not permitted to a person that's unrelated to the marriage. You're not permitted to cohabit with a mamzeres. She's illegitimate. Did the marriage create the prohibition? Marriage didn't create the prohibition. Here you have two sisters. If he wants to cohabit with each one independently, if he's not married to neither. In terms of the prohibition of living with sisters, that prohibition has no relevance. Wait a second, because it's kiyikach. if the kiddushin creates the isser, it has to be through that. It has to be permitted you to cohabit. But if the marriage creates a situation that you're not permitted, so it's based on the marriage. But if, let's say, the prohibition preceded the marriage, so it's unrelated to the marriage, it's kiddushin abasura labia. The kiddushin has to bring about a permitted state. But if the kiddushin creates the forbidden state, that is the basis, then that's not a marriage. That's like the mamzers to Yisrael, right? She's forbidden to the Kohen regardless whether he's married to her or not. She's not permitted. So marrying is not what created the prohibition. She was forbidden to him before he married her. Okay? That's how Tosas explains it. Okay? Evidently clear that Rashi also means this way. I mean, there's no other way to understand the discussion here. Itmar. Kedushin she'em isura labia abaya mahabi kedushin. Abai says it is a kedushin. It's a valid kedushin. So if a person marries one of two sisters, he's not sure which sister he marries, the marriage is a marriage, and of course he has to give get to each one of them. No braver. Doesn't know which one. He married one. He's not sure which one he married.
One that I will have relations with is the one.
No, he didn't say that. No. He didn't say that.
What did he say? What is the situation? I'm just trying to understand.
He gives a woman. You have two sisters. He says, "I'm marrying one of you," and he's not sure which one he marries. Let's say he gives a pruta. He's not sure which one he gave it to. He's not sure which one he gave it to.
He did give it to one of them.
He gave it to one of them. He's not sure.
His wife.
He doesn't know which one. He doesn't know which one.
So the reality is that there were cameras, we would be able to find out.
Identical twins. Even on a camera, you couldn't.
And
Their
you don't
faces
believe-
were
and you
covered.
don't
Their
believe
faces
the-
were covered.
You don't believe the woman.
But
You don't
one of
believe
them-
the woman.
Technically,
Otherwise she could.
Right? We're going to go through multiple cases. We're going to go through multiple cases. No, she's the agent. He's not sure which one was the agent for the other sister. Okay, whatever the case is. So since from the onset of the giving the money, it was unclear which was his wife, and the basis for the prohibition is because he's married to one of the sisters, therefore the marriage is not a marriage, because that's the basis of the prohibition of achos isha. You're not permitted to cohabit with the wife, with the sister of your wife. So you're not sure which is your wife. So you were, as a result of giving the money, that is the basis why you're not permitted to either of them.
just because you're uncertain, why shouldn't you have to give the get?
Because the Torah says it's not a marriage. You only have to terminate a marriage. But if initially the marriage was never a marriage, so there's nothing to divorce. There's nothing to terminate. It was an act of marriage. If you're saying the criteria to be a marriage is that you have to be able to cohabit with the woman, but if as a result of the marriage that never allowed you to cohabit, because of the marriage, that marriage is not a marriage. Even though you went through the motions of marriage, it means nothing. Of course, you may be cohabited with the wrong one.
But in this case, it sounds to me like we have a separate derisa.
It is a subject,
Because you could say that if he has relations with this one, he may be having relations with the sister.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's a subject derisa l'chumra.
And subject derisa-
So you're not permitted to
I tie
cohabit
his
with either.
hands.
Exactly.
I tie his hands. But why do we say that the marriage never took place?
Because the Torah says. No, Abai says, no. Abai says it has taken place. Habi Kedushin. Abai's position it is.
The marriage took place, you just don't know which one. Now
The
we
marriage
know.
is effective, but you're not permitted because of the rights l'chumra. That's Abai.
And therefore you have to give divorce from them both.
He has to give a divorce to both women,
Because
sisters.
you can never resolve the question.
Exactly.
So these two women are off limits for him forever.
Forever, and they're both going to be prohibited to a Kohen. No Kohen with.
Both going to be prohibited to a covenant.
Correct. Okay, that's Abai. Rabba Amar, no. Lo havi kedushin. Rabba says no, it's not a kedushin. That since there was never a moment from the time that he gave that money that he was ever able to cohabit with his wife, because it was unclear which was his wife. She may have been it may have been the sister, right? He gave it. He never knew which one was the wife. That means there was never a moment he could cohabit with either of them. not with his wife, as a result of that, because of the other one, therefore the marriage initially was never a marriage. Because there was a kiyikach, a result of yikach has to be uvalo, that he should be able to cohabit with her. And over here, as a result of the yikach, that's exactly why he can't cohabit with her. Right? Because pre-marriage, he was permitted to both of them. Post-marriage, now, since the other one may be the sister, he can't cohabit with either of them. And he never knew which one was his wife, which one was the sister of the wife. Okay? That's Rava.
Let me just make this complicated. A man,
Just go, let's go, give me 2 minutes, a moment. Omar Rava. So Rava says, Barahino Asberli. He says, Barahino elucidated my position. Why it's not a marriage. Ki yikach ish isho uvoalo. Right? That's the pasuk of kiddushin. A man who takes a woman, uvoalo. He should be permitted to come upon her. Kiddushin amasurin labiya avi kiddushin. If the kiddushin brings about a permitted state that he's permitted to cohabit with her, then the marriage is a marriage. Kiddushin she'ein masurin labiya, but the marriage which does not permit cohabitation, lo avi kiddushin. The marriage initially was never considered a marriage. Not offense. Xeris hakosov. It's not offense. It's not offense. He's interpreting the pasuk. Ki yikach ish isha uvoalo. If the result of the yikach is bolo, then she's permitted. Then that marriage is a marriage. That's ki yikach. But if the ki yikach is not uvolo, he's not permitted, then the yikach is not a yikach. The marriage is not a marriage. Initially, the marriage is not a marriage.
the only thing that was preventing is because you have a son.
Doesn't make a difference, but that's a Savi, it's a Savi D'oraisa. Doesn't make a difference. Okay, whatever it is. You review the first parak and you'll see what it is. Okay, you review it.
Okay, so now I'm going to a man in the same situation, except now we have two sisters and a daughter. And he does the same thing.
Same thing.
Well, let's say you have five.
We're going to discuss. We'll discuss that. We'll discuss that in a minute. We'll discuss all any majority no any conceivable case you're going to come up with. The Gemara is going to discuss the cases. Okay. Let's go earlier. I started one line too far ahead. The Mishnah says that if a person marries two sisters simultaneously, he's married to neither. If a person marries a mother and a daughter simultaneously, he's married to neither. So Rava says, how do we understand the Mishnah? We understand the Mishnah based on what Rava had said, right? Gemara Namad Beis. Anything which cannot take place consecutively cannot take place simultaneously. Rava says, the way I understand the Mishnah is based on Rava's principle. Anything which cannot take place consecutively cannot take place simultaneously. Right? That's Rava speaking. Samar asks before the two dots. Why does Rava have to explain the Mishnah based on Rava's position, on his rationale, that something which cannot take place simultaneously, consecutively cannot take place simultaneously? Right? Why doesn't he say the reason is because it's Kedushin Shem Rasun Labiyah? He says, I want to be married. He says, both you people should be married to me. There's not even consideration. He can't be married to both. But let him be married to one. Right? Wait a second. Let him be married to one. So the Rava says, you know what the reason is? Because anything which cannot be consecutive cannot be simultaneous. So therefore neither it takes effect. But according to Rava, what does he have to say? It's based on Rava's rationale. Because anything which can't take place consecutive can't take place simultaneously. Let him say based on his own position. It's Kedushin Mesura Labiyah. Since factually, as a result of what he did, he can't cohabit with either of them, because it's unclear which one is married to him, the marriage is not a marriage. That's the reason why the Mishnah says Ein Gudeshes. Why does he have to explain it based on the rationale of Rabbah? Earlier.
Last time.
See the page before? Umasdisin kedurabo. That's Rava speaking. Rava. Elo marova krob zechazer. Umasdisin kedurabo. How do we understand the Mishnah like Rabo? You see, second line from the bottom. Damarabo koshem zechazer fi vasachasenu. So we're asking, what do we need Rab's rationale? Rab has his own rationale. It's Kedushay Misur and Labiyah. So on that we're answered, L'dvarv Rami Bar Choma Koma. Rami Bar Choma originally said that if you marry two women simultaneously, you're married to neither. So Rami Bar Choma had quoted a pasuk, right? The pasuk he quoted was Isha lachos likach litzror. So on that, Rava asked a question, but it says over there, V'nichriso. Right? It says the liability is koris, but he's married to neither of them. There's no liability of koris. So evidently, what is the pasuk speaking about? It must be speaking where he was married to one sister, and subsequently he has relations with the other sister, but it has no relevance to the Mishnah. On that, Rav is coming to explain Rami Bar Choma. Although it's not the pasuk, why is he married to neither of them? So on that, he says the rationale, according to Rami Bar Choma, would be anything which cannot take place consecutively cannot take place simultaneously. It's not the pasuk, as he originally had thought it was, Rami Bar Choma, but rather it's the rationale of Rabbo. But according to himself, the reason why neither are married is because Klushain Misur Rabiyah. He doesn't need that. Rabbo, according to himself, does not need that. Okay? Tanan. So now we have a problem. Hamakadish ishu bito, o isha v'achosa. It's the Mishnah speaks of a man who definitely wants to marry a woman and her daughter, or a woman and her sister. Kachas means simultaneously. Ein mukudeshes. Ho'achas v'ishu bito. But let's say he would say to a mother, I want to marry one of you, and he doesn't say which one, and one of them accepts marriage, the marriage based on what he says. O isha v'achoso, or he says, I want to marry a woman and her sister, Bukadeshes, one of you. Two sisters, take kiddushin, I want to be married to one of you. So it says, Bukadeshes. He doesn't specify which one, and she takes it. Both, the Mishnah says, not. But it seems to be but one of the two. Although it was never determined which one, it's Bukadeshes, because it's a suffix. V'amai kiddushin she'misur l'biyaninu. But why is it a suffix kiddushin? Since initially, as a result of the kiddushin, he can't be with either of them, the marriage should not be considered marriage based on the rationale of Rava. Of course, it's kiddushin she'misur l'biyah. So tufta the Rava, so it seems to be, it's a refutation of Rava. It's only when he wants to marry both of them. The Mishnah says that. But the inference of the Mishnah is, but if it would be one of the two, she would be married. But how could she be married according to Rava's rationale? There's never a moment that he's able to cohabit with her. And he's... They agree. Two women. No. Two sisters. I want you to take kiddushin on behalf of one of you. And one of you should be married to me. And they agree. One of us are married to you. Yeah, one is accepting. One is accepting on. One is accepting. No, she agreed. They both said fine.
One of us is married. We don't know which one.
We have to get something to someone.
He did. He put it in one's hand. Each one agreed to be the agent for the other. Can't make it simple. I mean, the Gemara is going to say this like each one agreed to be the agent for the other. So whichever one he gave it to, it's either her or the sister. Either she's an agent or she's the woman that's being married. But which one's his wife? We don't know which is his wife. So it seems if you want both to be your wives, that they cannot be. But it seems if one of the two can. But how could one of the two can? Since it was never determined which one's your wife, she's not permitted to you. If that's the case, the marriage is not a marriage. That's the first question. Omalach Rava, so Rava says, Tamech. He says, according to your understanding, Amos Sefer, let's read the conclusion of the Mishnah. The Mishnah tells a story. There were 5 women, ubehen shtei achios, and among the 5 there were 2 sisters. V'liket echad kalkola shalteinim, V'likid echad, and one of them took a basket of figs. V'shelen hoiso. It was theirs initially. It was theirs. V'shel shviyas hoiso. The Gemara is going to discuss all these details. I mean, the field that the figs were taken from was their field. But it was during the sabbatical year, so during sabbatical year, the Gemara says, Hefker. Hefker. V'omar. And he took this basket of figs that he took from their field, and he said, Harei kulchem mekudoshes li bekalkol zu. And he gave the basket to one of them, and one of them is the agent of all the others. It says, I'm marrying all of you with this basket of figs. V'omru chachomim, ein achius mekudoshos. It says the sisters are not married. Wait, achius hu dein mekudoshos, hadochius mekudoshos. He said, what's the inference? The sisters are not married, but the other three are married. So Gemara wants to know exactly what did he say when he said, kulchem mekudoshos li. Hechi domi. Ilemo di oma kulchem koni. Yeah. If he says, I want to marry all of you, so if he says all, it's all or nothing. So why are the three married, right? If he said, kulchem koni, all of you should acquire it, at v'chamoru, vat chamor lo kono. If a person wants to, a person with a donkey to acquire, he gives it to a person and says, I want you and the donkey to acquire something. What does that mean? Can't. A donkey is not able to acquire. But he says, it's you and the donkey. So that means it's all or nothing. So over here it's interesting. Rashi learns the case. There's a machlokas, if a person makes such a statement, at v'chamor, does he mean to say, does he really mean that? It's not possible. The donkey is not able to acquire. So there's an argument, does he mean all or nothing? Or does he mean you should acquire? When he said chamor, it's just superfluous. But over here, so Rav Nachman says, at v'chamor, the person does acquire. Because a chamor, a donkey, is not able to acquire. We will continue this tomorrow.